Welcome to the Green Report. Today's focus: eco-fashion industry in the last 25 years. Despite all the supposed innovation and experimentation in the fashion industry over the past quarter century, the industry is still having a significant negative impact on the planet. The fashion industry often makes bold claims about its commitment to environmental responsibility. Yoga mats made from mushrooms and sneakers made from sugar cane can be found on store shelves alongside carbon-positive swimwear and wedding dresses. The new economic models of recycling, reselling, renting, reusing, and repairing are marketed as eco-saviors. In the last 25 years, the worldwide output of t-shirts and shoes has increased by a factor of 4. But 3/4 of this surplus is ultimately destroyed by fire or dumped in landfills. Difficult factors contribute to the business sector's sustainability letdown. Unrelenting growth pressure, combined with consumer demand for fast fashion at low prices, has been a major factor, as are the associated facts that most modern clothing and footwear are made from non-biodegradable petroleum-based synthetics and that real prices for these commodities have fallen by half since 1990. Let's take a closer look at why sustainable fashion is anything but sustainable to fully grasp just how badly the market has failed the planet in the fashion industry. The fashion industry is likely having a significant, if not fully quantified, negative effect on the environment. The scope of the industry spans the globe, and its intricate, multi-tiered supply chain continues to be shrouded in mystery. Very few brands own the assets of their upstream factories, and most companies outsource final production as a result of trade liberalization, globalization, and persistent cost pressures. Carbon impact estimates for the industry vary widely, from 4% to 10% of total global carbon emissions due to the industry's complexity and lack of transparency. Combine the imperative of growth with accelerating product drops, long lead times, and global supply chains, and the result is inevitable overproduction. Notwithstanding improvements in technology and communications, predicting demand across tens of styles that are launched seasonally is much easier than doing the same for thousands of styles released monthly. Therefore, fashion inventories inevitably accumulate, and 40% of fashion goods are sold at a markdown. The urge to sell more and get consumers to buy more is still in the DNA of the industry, says Michael Stanley Jones, co-secretary for the Alliance for Sustainable Fashion. Clothes have a very short lifespan and end up in the dump. The speed of this hedonic treadmill continues to ramp up exponentially. 5 years ago, McKinsey reported that shorter production lead times enabled by technology and revised business systems enabled brands to introduce new lines more frequently. Many brands on an average offer 20-30 new clothing collections each year. This acceleration and proliferation of newness served as a constant draw to bring consumers back to sites and stores. To deliver on low price points for fast-changing styles, these real-time brands rely on fossil fuel-based synthetic materials that are cheaper, adaptable, and more widely available than natural materials. As a result, polyester has grown to become the #1 synthetic fiber and now represents more than half of all global fiber production. It is derived from non-renewable resources, requires a great deal of energy for extraction and processing, and releases significant byproducts. As a recent Business of Fashion report noted, with no standardized language or regulated frameworks, deciphering what companies are actually doing is extremely challenging. Most CSR reports do not accurately quantify the full carbon emissions profile of fashion brands and remain unaudited by external parties. Recycling is oversold. This is due to a host of reasons, including the inability to plan design at scale due to the variability of supply, limits to recycling technology, limited infrastructure, and shorter, lower quality fibers resulting from recycled inputs and high cost. As a result of these obstacles, less than 1% of all clothing is recycled into new garments. Worse yet, recycling does little to limit environmental damage while exacerbating inequality. Recycling bins in many brand stores are a guilt-free place that encourages ever more consumption. Most donated items end up in landfills in poor countries. At the same time, a recent life cycle analysis on cotton jeans revealed that the climate change impact of buying and disposing of a pair of jeans is almost the same as upcycling the jeans into a new pair. Another response to address the growing environmental footprint of fashion is the next-gen materials industry. Innovators are now fermenting and growing bio-based substitutes for conventional livestock-derived materials and fossil fuel-based synthetics. Some of these new bio-based textiles can be engineered to deliver performance features alongside properties such as biodegradability. Unfortunately, these innovations are plagued by high initial costs, large requirements for capital, resistance to change, and the lack of pricing for externalities. Recognition that infinite growth on a planet of finite resources is a powerful impetus to develop new business models for fashion. As was the case with shared transport, these models tout their ability to dampen consumption of virgin resources and extend product life cycles, but do they? The thrift industry is not new. In fact, sales at traditional thrift and donation stores remain more than 2 times the size of the nascent online resale industry. Be it online or in-store, resale retailers reject most goods that are presented to them for sale. This percentage will likely grow because of the low prices and poor quality of fast fashion. Notwithstanding the recent growth of the space, over the past 10 years, the average percentage of carbon emissions obviated due to resale amounts to far less than 1/100%. What next? The same trends that have powered fashion industry's growth will more than overwhelm gains associated with bio-based materials and new business models. Unit growth will continue to be concentrated in lower cost, more damaging synthetics fiber products, thereby exacerbating a raft of other environmental challenges including water scarcity, and the growth of microplastics. What then can be done? Less unsustainable is not sustainable. The fashion companies should not be allowed to simultaneously profess their commitment to sustainability while opposing regulatory proposals that deliver the same end. Ultimately, businesses must disclose their lobbying efforts, use their clout to effect positive change while engineering a business system that is regenerative. To demonstrate progress, stewardship reports should become mandatory, more quantitative, thinner, more attuned to planetary thresholds, and be subject to annual external audits. Government rulemakers must price negative externalities. Carbon and water, for example, should be taxed to include social costs. This would discourage their use, lead to innovation, and accelerate the adoption of renewable energy. A governmental committee in the UK has also recommended a tax on virgin plastic. We'll continue the journey of sustainability in this series. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay tuned.